Hello everyone, and welcome back to Optimized Evony. Today I wanted to do a video on where you should start as a low coiner or free-to-play player with ascending. I know it can be very confusing. There's a lot of options out there, and I want to tell you kind of where I think you'll get the best value for your Blood of Ares. Because as a free-to-play player or a low coiner, you're not getting a lot of Blood of Ares. You need to spend it the right way. You need to spend it on the right things to make sure that you are getting the most from that, because otherwise it will take forever to get enough. If you do a general wrong or something like that, it can set you back, pretty significantly. And so this is an area where you really do have to optimize. And so uh, the first thing is you should only ascend generals when it's the Trial of Knights. So the Trial of Knights is basically, it's not actually going on right now. I'll kind of show you when it does come back, but it's basically where you are. It's a consumption event for Blood of Ares. That's essentially what it is, and you can get Blood of Ares back from it. You can get premium generals for it. You can get a lot of other things. I would recommend, if you're more of a free to play player, unless there's a general that you absolutely need there. If there is, then you should get those fragments. You should get the full general there as well, and then you should prioritize other things. But if you're not interested in any of the generals there, what you should do is you should mostly just prioritize getting that those blood of Ares back. If you're not coining, if you're not getting a lot of blood of Ares anyways, that's a good way to basically get them back, because it's basically for every 3 blood of Ares you consume, you can get one back, up to a limit, of course. But uh, I've never hit that limit. I'm sure coiners have hit that limit, but I've never hit that limit. So it's a really good way to get good value for your blood of Ares. And usually I can get a few more ascensions done than I would have otherwise. So only do your ascending during that event. But then let's get into the good stuff. The who should you actually ascend if you have the blood of Ares ready to go, and that is basically if you're unless you have a really solid attack gen setup, I would recommend don't go attack gen. Maybe if you have a really good defense gen setup, you can do defense gens. But I think really where you get the most value for your ascending is if you look at the duty generals. And if you ascend the duty generals, just 1 star. Most of them really only make sense to do 1 star at the moment. But let's look at, for example, like Menshikov. Menshikov is one of the better ones, one of the really good ones to ascend, because when we look at this, it's when your general is the keep officer, in city troops defense is plus 15%. So that means all troops defense. So not just ground troops, not just mount troops, but all troops defense is plus 15%. So this is great. So uh, you should definitely prioritize Menshikov. I think he's one of the better ones. Even if you have Ashoka, well, if you have Ashoka, you should probably ascend to Ashoka if you have her, just because the Ascension is so much better. But even so, it's worth having a Menshikov, just because looking at the main skill, you increase the construction speed in the city by 20%. That's massive, especially for these big builds. So just anyways, he's worth having. He's in the tavern, as are all of the generals that I'm going to show you for the sending today. And so you can get multiple copies of him relatively for free. Yeah, you'll have to spend gems and stuff like that. You'll have to spend gold, but you can at least get them without paying. So uh, definitely good to open up 1 star. If you can open up 2 stars, that's also great. Beyond that, it's construction speeds and stuff like that. But he has a very good ascension kind of all the way down. So uh, may, maybe eventually worth full 5 ascending him. Then let's look at who I actually think is the best free duty general to ascend, and that's Toyotomi Hideyoshi. Sorry if I mispronounced that, but he's the rally spot general, and he's also for free in the tavern. But when he basically has the same skill. When he's the rally spot officer, he gives in-city troop defense plus 15%. That's great. Same skill as Menshikov. And then, kind of looking down at his further ascensions, he has march speed 20%, in-city troop defense plus 5%, in-city, troop HP 15%. So that basically those skills were, similar to what Menshikov had, except for Menshikov had the construction speed as the level 3 skill, and you actually get more here because you get the extra 5% defense instead of just getting the uh, the construction speed at the level 3 skill. And you also get the march speed, and march speed is super important, saves on those march speed ups and stuff like that, so that's great. And then 4-star rally spot officer, in-city troops attack 5% and HP 5%, great. And then the 5-star is in-city troop attack 10% and defense 5%. So I really, really like his ascension. I think him and Menshikov are the two best ascending generals that are free to play and that are duty officers. So I would recommend kind of focusing on those two. But I think for your money, basically getting all of the duty officers to 6 stars or 1 ascension is going to be the best value for your money, because if you look at all of them, they all have in-city troop buffs. And with the, I mean, you guys know, with the attack buffs going insane, getting to over 2,000, 2,400. I was rallied in All Stars 2,400, 50 million troops. There's not a lot that you can do to defend against that. So the best way, if you're a low or mid coiner or free to play, is to get these buffs where you can. And the best way to do that is from these duty generals. So if you look at this is the barracks officer, in-city ground troop and mount troop defense and HP. Super great. Mount troop HP is always good. Ground troop defense, mount troop defense, all of that's great stuff. Not quite as universal as the other, the 15% all troops, but it's still really good. And then uh, this guy's also good. Ground, same exact skill. A lot of them basically just have the same skill, but they're still worth doing. This is basically the other version of that skill, which is range troop and siege machine defense and HP. Still super good. Those ones are actually 15%. Um, but yeah, I think those actually help pretty significantly in trying to defend against siege solos. Someone's tried to siege solo me last SVS and didn't do too well. Let's just say that. This one is not able to be ascended yet. Kind of the last duty general that is not able to be ascended. I'm sure they'll release that soon. I think they're basically holding off on that one because they released a premium version of him that you could only get in the packs, and so they want people to focus on that instead of ascending him. Basically same skill, just the other version of it. So you can kind of see. Oh, and it looks like the Archer Tower one also can't be, but this one also can. So yeah, I guess just kind of in summary here, I'm not going to go through all of them. These are all available in the tavern, so you can get them for cheap. And my recommendation is that anytime any one of these duty generals passes, you buy it so that you don't have to waste gems and stuff for when you're actually looking for a specific general, because I know some of them are pretty hard to get. Like the rally spot general is pretty hard to get. Menshikov can be pretty hard to get. But if you buy them every time they pop up, regardless of who you're looking for at that time, yeah, you spend a little bit of extra gold, but you're going to save yourselves a lot of gems in the future trying to spin and spin and spin and try and get those generals. So I think that's probably your best bet. And then yeah, if you get all of those to 1 star, I'm almost all the way there. They had released those new generals for being ascended, like last Trial of Knights event. So I still have a little bit more to go there, but I think that's really going to be your best bet for it. And then maybe just picking one general that you really think has a good ascension. So, for example, I picked Elise. Elise, I ended up getting multiple copies of her from Battlefield Shop and stuff like that, and they've also kind of been pushing her as an ascension just because I don't know. It seems like she was like the option for the first Trial of Knights event and stuff like that. So they've given multiple copies of her, kind of for free, and so I was able to really get some good ascensions done on her. And I would love to get her fully maxed because I think she's a super super strong ground general. But I just happened to choose her as kind of the attacking general that I was going to focus on. I'm probably also going to focus on my siege gen. I have multiple copies of him, so I'm going to try and do that as well. Now that I've kind of gotten some of those base duty generals done, but the I guess the kind of the key takeaway is do what you can that's free before you really pick an attack general or stuff like that. I picked my attack generals that I knew I was very solid in. Elise is a super strong general. I wasn't really planning on changing her very you know in the immediate future. So doing the ascensions there really made sense. But if you're not solid on who your attacking generals are, don't do the ascensions. The ascensions are going to be hard to get back. The blood of Ares that you get uh, is barely enough to kind of keep doing the minimal stuff that you get. So don't waste those. Don't do it on people that you are pretty sure you're never going to use, or even if you think they're really good right now, if you haven't like done like max specs or something like that, like you're not super invested in the general, I wouldn't do the ascension yet. So yeah, those are kind of my tips and tricks for the ascension. And remember, only do ascension during Trial of Knights. That's really the only time that it's worth it. Similar to basically everything else in Evony, where you only do resource consumption during resource consumption. You only do speed consumption during speed consumption. You only do tactics scroll stuff during the tactics scroll. They've basically changed it from okay, everyone does everything all the time to everyone waits for these big events to start their big builds and to finish their builds and to do all their research and stuff like that. So uh, yeah, I guess that's just another way to kind of optimize and get all the rewards that you can for what you're getting. So I hope this helps. Let me know what you think in the comments, and as always, please like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton.